All right. Guys, I'm going to be posting your answers here of your study guide. I do need you to comment under this video that you watch, though, so that way for your attendance, there's not going to be an assignment today. You're just checking your answers and making sure your study guide's ready to go. But I do need you to mark under the video that you watch. That way I can count you here for the day. And then, but I am going to answer these questions from yesterday up here so that you can see these first, and then we'll go into the study guide, okay? So first off, this is a straight line. I told you is a linear pair, and so this is going to form 180. So to find x, you can either do x plus 80 equals 180, or you could just go ahead and subtract what's left, and so this x is going to be 100, okay? Because these two angles have to form 180. Okay, so if you had set it up like a pre-algebra problem, you would have said this angle plus this angle equals 180, and then you would have subtracted 80 just like we did here, and you would have got 100 equals x, okay? Here's one that this was complementary, so it adds up to 90. So at this point, you know, I would go ahead and start setting these up like a pre-algebra problem. That way, you know, the more you have to keep track of in your head, the more you could go off. So basically, that means this angle, that's the x plus 7 angle, plus 80, plus that angle, should equal 90, okay? Now, what that means then is you're going to combine those two already, okay, because you can combine on this side, okay? And nothing changed over here. And now to solve for x, you just need to move your 87. You're going to get x is 3. Okay. And if you want to check that, plug it back in. 3 plus 7 is 10, so this angle's 10. This one's 80, so 10 and 80 is 90. So that is a complementary angle. Okay. This one here, had a couple of students ask about it. Remember, you're kind of working yourself around in a puzzle. So you're trying to figure out what you can solve the fastest or first and then move on from there. I would save this one to the end. You don't have to. I mean, you could go ahead and start knowing what this angle is and should equal, but to me it's easier to just go ahead and do the first vertical, which is x is 80. No math involved. It's just realizing that these two angles are the same. Okay. And then another thing you can do is you can, now that you know this is 80, you can work with these two, or you could work with these two. No, it's a straight line. See, this angle and this angle form this straight line that runs along the pin here. Okay, and so they're linear pair. And so just like this one up here, you're going to take y plus 80 equals 180. Okay, this angle plus this angle should equal 180. And you move your 80 over, and y is 100. I'm writing through a screen, so it's kind of, it's even worse than a whiteboard for my handwriting. But this 100, the answer is 100 for y. So you've got 80, you've got 100. Now, if this is 100, I go ahead and, if you need to visually see it, it's 100. So this is also 100. Not C, but this angle is 100, and C is C minus 30. You're going to have to set that up equal to 100 to solve for C. So C minus 30 should equal this 100-degree measure. And so you need to add 30 to get rid of the 30, and you get C is 130. Okay? Because remember, the variables aren't all, now this variable is the angle measure, because that's all, it's only the variable. But this, you've got to plug in, like if I plug in 130 for C and do 130 minus 30, I get 100, which is what the angle is, okay? So you got to watch for that. Okay, so up here now, this is like the one we did at the very end. The only thing we know, the only thing we can set up to solve is that this angle is equal to this angle. So I have to set it up that way. 4x equals 2x plus 60. These two angles equal each other. Now I need to solve for x. So move the x's over to one side. 2x equals 60. These canceled out. And now I divide by 2, and x is 30. So x is 30. If I plug it in, I can check that. 4 times 30 is 120. And if I plug it in here, 2 times 30 is 60, plus 60 is also 120. Okay, so x is 30 on that one. Okay, now let's go ahead and go to the study guide. Some of the study guides, just knowing the definitions. Complementary angles add up to 90. You also want to know that supplementary adds up to 180. Okay, just keep that in mind. You know, complementary adds up to 90, supplementary adds up to 180. Are 1 and 2 adjacent? Do they share a side? Yes, they do. They share this ray, so yes, they are adjacent. They share a vertex and a side. Are 1 and 2 a linear pair? Okay. Do they form a straight line? Does angle 1 and 2 form a straight line? Well, no. A straight line would have to go like all the way across here. It can't. It's like this ray would need to bend down and be all the way across to where you've got all the way across a straight line. So no, they are not a linear pair. Are they vertical? Well, no. If they are adjacent, they can't be vertical. Vertical would be like these two. Okay, these two. Okay. What is the vertical angle to angle 2? Well, that's 4. So 4. You can put angle 4 if you want to. That'd be more concise. But if you just put 4, that's all I'm looking for. What's the vertical angle to angle 3? Angle 1. If angle 1 is 40, what is angle 3? Well, then it's got to be 40. And if angle 1 is 40, what is angle 4? Well, they're not the same. Okay, just 1 and 3 are the same. But 1 and 4 add up to 180. So if 1 is 40, then 4 has to be 140. And I got that by taking 180 minus that 40. Okay, so if 1 is 40, then 4 is 140. Okay, if angle 1 and 2 add up to 120, so together they're 120, and angle 2 is 20, then what's left? Well, take 120, subtract 20, and you have 100. Okay, this angle's got to be 100 if this one's 20, and that way together they add up to 120. And then you've got to find the variables listed. So these two have to add up to 90. So if that one's 60, this one's 30. Okay, there was no like x plus 10 or anything, so you could just say x is the angle measure. Same thing with this one. These are supplementary, so they have to add up to 180. So if that's 20, you take that away from 180, and you got 160. This one was like the one in your homework. I would start with this one first. The x is 80. That means y has to be, they have to add up to 180. And so if this one's 80, you're going to take that away from 180, and you're left with 100. That way these two add up to 180. And if this is 100, okay, then 2z has to equal 100. So I'm going to set that up and solve for z. Okay, because this has to be 100 degrees too. So now I just need to isolate the z, and z is going to be 50. Okay. Number 8. Okay, all of these together have to add up to 180. That's what a linear pair is. It's like supplementary. They're a straight line. So they have to all add up to 180. So this angle plus this angle has to equal 180. Okay, I can combine this 10 and 70. And then I want to move the 80. So I'm going to move up to here 2x. Then I'm left with 2x equals 100. And then all I need to do is divide by 2. Okay. If you ever need to check, plug it back in. 2 times 50 is 100, plus 10 is 110. So if this angle is 110, that's 70. That forms 180. Okay. This one, you got to set them equal to each other. This angle is equal to this angle. Okay, move your x over. And that's going to give you x equals 40. So you've solved for it. Okay. And then this one here, set them equal to each other. Okay, so I've got that equal to that. Now I need to solve for x, so I'm going to move 3x over. Okay, and the last step I need to do is divide by 2. And x is 70. Okay, so x is 70. You can plug it back in. 5 times 70 is 350. This times this is 210 plus 140 is also 350. So that's how they equal each other. Okay? All right. Make sure you comment underneath that you watched the video for your attendance, and then test on Monday. Just be over this. Just complementary, supplementary, vertical angles, and adjacent. Okay? All right. Thanks, guys.